Hi, everyone, and thank you all for joining on our today's webinar. I'm sure these days can be quite busy and hectic with all the preparations done for this busy time of the year. So we definitely appreciate you all making the time. On today's webinar, we're going to cover some key elements around the shopping holidays, like what state we're entering this time of the year, what can we expect to see for the different categories and different players around the industries, and essentially how can we better plan ahead. So just a quick introductory. I'm Amit Ram, a client success analyst here at Similarweb, and previously a media and activation strategist in a global media agency. And with me, there is co-hosting today, Ines Duran.
Hiya, Ines Duran. Pardon my thick French accent in advance. I'm a senior market insights manager for Similarweb, primarily focusing on retail, CPG, and financial services. And my role is really try to uncover value proposition use cases for all the clients, leading clients in these industries. Very happy to be here with you today.
All right, and both of us working with agency consultancies group, and just a little bit about us in Similarweb, for those of you who may not know us so well just yet. We work closely with some of the biggest global companies, brands, and agencies, equipping them with the data they need to make smarter decisions while benchmarking and optimizing their performance. Some of the biggest global brands use our platform to enhance their research and findings in order to help their clients grow their businesses. And so we do so by equipping them with data that's being refreshed daily, covering millions of websites, apps, keywords, with a complete marketing channels coverage, and which can also be integrated via API for ongoing monitoring. It's kind of like playing poker with all of your opponent's hands are exposed on the table. So some of the topics we're going to address today will range from macro to micro, including market trends, consumer behavior, app data, shopping intelligence, and some key takeaways for you. So to kick off, and before we dive into more granular data, it's important to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, which is why we'd like to show some insights about the e-commerce and shopping landscape, focusing on some of the key categories. So using Similarweb's media analysis data, we can see the trend lines, including of the leading industries attracting the biggest amount of shoppers traffic around key timings is especially the marketplaces industry, following by fashion and apparel, consumer electronics, beauty and cosmetics, as well as games and home and gardens. This is where we can also spot the dominance of Q4 back in 2020, comparing to 2021. And by having these Q4 comparisons, we can really see the differences in how markets have trended for reasons I'm sure we all are familiar with by now. However, you can also see that Q1 in 2022 is back to 2019 levels, and with Q3 22 is lower than back in 2021. We also see it as a potential for Q4 sales, which we are about to see. Now, using Similarweb marketing channels view, we can also have a better understanding on how different categories utilize the different marketing channels, as some operate quite differently than others. Starting with marketplaces, which act as somewhat of a search engine themselves. Shoppers mainly conduct their searches once they're already on the platform and use different keywords and search terms we can also detect here in Similarweb to really find the products or brands and services they're looking for once they're already on site. Whereas in other industries or categories, shoppers really rely more heavily on the search engines, mainly organic searches and results, and running queries for those specific brands or services they're really after. When it comes to paid search, there is a channel used heavily or less heavily, such as consumer electronics, where shoppers are usually researching the category slightly differently and utilize referrals much more than other categories. Knowing this can really help you and your clients adjust your marketing strategies in different times of the year, as well as to really help you uncover shopper behavior. And so knowing that not all categories behave alike in terms of marketing efforts, we also wanted to really understand which categories have seen the biggest uplift in November over the years. In order to do that, we have compared November traffic to the average traffic measured in the months of Q3 and found some really interesting points. One of which is keeping 2020 as an anomaly and seeing those uplifts across the categories. We did see 2021 levels resemble to pre-COVID, but still not quite, suggesting that shoppers now don't rely only on November to conduct their shopping. As marketplaces already maintaining high traffic levels year-round, the uplift in November is not as substantial as other categories showcased. For home and garden, for example, once people were already done refurbishing during 2020, we do not expect a major increase in 2022 either. And out of all three, it was actually beauty and cosmetics showcasing the biggest uplift in 2021 with over 31% comparing to Q3 average.
And something that is interesting, so obviously we've seen a big uplift in Q3 2021 compared to the previous, during the holiday, compared to Q3. And according to our recent studies about the lipstick effect, which I don't know if you're familiar with it, but this is an economical theory that presumes that amidst a recession, consumers will swap their more expensive purchases, that, for example, travel, expensive clothing, for smaller, affordable luxury items such as beauty, for instance, and the lipstick effect, because they still want to treat themselves and they don't have enough disposable income. And based on our recent results, this is a study that we conducted, and I'm very happy to follow up with you if you're interested. Don't hesitate to drop us a message. We've seen a huge increase in beauty sales in the last 3 months compared to the year before the same periods, and we're expecting a huge uplift in this holiday season.
That's exciting. Perfect. And so we wanted to analyze how traffic looks like coming into Black Friday. So what we did was indexing the last 15 days prior to Black Friday peak. And some of the findings, as you can see, marketplaces can already started countdown around the 70% of Black Friday levels. And while categories begin around the 40-50%, which means over the next 2 weeks coming into Black Friday, those three categories will double their daily traffic. Consumer electronics, for example, and some marketplaces also show additional burst around Cyber Monday, after which consumer electronics has seen the sharpest drop in traffic, not managing to keep audience interest for that long. Some spikes in traffic along the way, indicating major retailers or brands that prompting visitors to start their holiday shopping earlier. We do expect to see more of that in this quarter, with brands and retailers and marketplaces calling for users to start their shopping season early. And this can also be concluded in some of the things that we saw Amazon doing this year.
Something as well we'll be adding is, Christian, before jumping in, the effectiveness of Cyber Monday sales. Because if you're looking at the different categories, the traffic to these different categories, obviously marketplace do still see a bit uplift compared to the day before Black Friday on Cyber Monday. But the only category that really beneficiates from Cyber Monday is the consumer electronics, the one in green. So I will question as well, maybe talk to your clients about whether you should maybe not overinvest in acquisition for the Cyber Monday, and maybe like focus your efforts on Black Friday if you don't sit within the consumer electronics category. But now, yes, exactly. Let's move on to this latest Prime Day sales in the UK, and what does it tell us about future Black Friday performance? So here we've looked at recently, so as some of you may be aware, there were like recent Prime Days in October in the UK. There came quite unexpectedly, like was quite unannounced. Usually we only have like one Prime Day, but Amazon decided to add another one. And what did we find? First, on the left-hand side of the screen, we can still see that there were way more Prime Days, way more product views during Prime Days across all categories of Amazon than during the lead up average days. So like the categories that actually benefited the most from this hike in views were kind of traditional holiday gifting categories. So the electronics and photo, computers and accessories that rose from over 80% compared to the lead-up days for product views. And then toys and games, whose views hiked by 65% compared to the lead-up days. However, if we're looking at the right-hand side of the screen, so the Prime Day October views via the first Prime Day in July, we think that actually there are way less views across all these top categories of Amazon. So what we really see here is that the lack of anticipation and awareness of these latest Prime Days, alongside a decrease in consumer spending and increasing energy bills, really impacted these Prime Days results. By the way, someone asked on the chat if we were covering as well the US. So this is exactly the same results. We saw exactly the same results in the US, and we're also very happy to share the latest report on that. So we will really see that overall, consumers are a bit scared to spend too much money, and this not very amazing for the next Black Friday sales. The next slide, let's see how they spend their money. Sorry. So we can really see, we really saw as well when analyzing like the average price of the top 20 products per category, comparing the top 20 products in Prime Day sales in October compared to Prime Day sales in July, we saw that there's been a bit of variation, and we kind of identified two kind of consumer behavior. Of course, the hike in product views was higher during October Prime Day sales than during the lead-up 28 days before for categories. And it was even greater for computers and accessories, electronics and photo, and toys and games, which are kind of these traditional holiday gifts, presents. You know, you get AirPods, you get you give I don't know, like a small watch, like connected watches and toys, etc. But on average, if you're looking at the average price in this Prime Day October compared to the Prime Day July, you see that actually there's been a decrease. So consumers, for example, for the toys and games, on average, the bestseller costed £69, whereas in July, the bestseller, this Prime Day sales, costed £24. So you can really see that consumers, they did shop early for Christmas, but they intended to cut the cost of gifts amid the cost of living crisis, which is quite something to keep in mind when you're advising your clients on which items should you be promoted the most, etc. Secondly, you can see another kind of behavior with like these categories are not really gifting categories, like the home and kitchen, DIY and tools, and health and personal care. They actually saw average price spike of up to 117% for the bestseller. So they didn't, it's not the same products that they bought. They actually went for more expensive products because they factored potentially future inflation, so like potential future price rises, but also maybe they're not going to have much disposable income after they paid for their energy bills in 2 months. I think some of the people based in the UK can only agree with me. So you can really see this consumer behavior factoring macroeconomical trends in their purchases, which is something to keep in mind to anticipate for Black Friday. So now let's move on. Let's do a nice transition. Yes, to so we saw like the behavior on Amazon. Let's see how people are going more for marketplaces amidst the cost of living crisis, as they kind of really deal driven.
Yeah, exactly. So as we saw, marketplaces in e-commerce are an extremely dominant force and contribute for a large amount of traffic in this space. And so it is not surprising that we are seeing a large rise of brand-owned marketplaces, as many brands and retailers opening or increasing their digital presence and offering to shoppers. To list just a few of the benefits in those kind of marketplaces are the diversity and product lines, keeping a variety of brands, products, and services, allowing a marketplace to increase their addressable audience to and tick more boxes on their shopping list. Retention potential. Users don't feel the need to shop around, acting as a one-stop shop rather than cross-browse to other retailers looking for complementary products, as well as offering a more robust global supply chain. There's less need to keep large amounts in inventories with the seller supplying and delivering, while the marketplace is only providing the platform. And so we all know retention and loyalty are among the most important metrics and keys to driving growth of brands and for retailers, especially for marketplaces where a consumer lifetime value can be extremely high if gain their trust. In fact, using Similarweb audience loyalty tool, we are able to track the levels of loyalty the audience has to the different players in this category. And in this case, the percentage of visitors that only paid a visit to one marketplace out of this the entire category. For this example, we see that aside of eBay and AliExpress, most marketplaces have seen an increasing level of audience trust, indicating that shoppers don't necessarily feel the need to browse around if indeed provided with a good consumer experience. And so using the Similarweb unique ability, we're not only able to analyze the website as a whole, but also to track the performance of the different categories. With segment analysis, we can have the ability to understand not just the traffic and engagement on those categories, but also the segment size in terms of traffic and unique visitors, the share of that segment out of the entire website, to uncover just how crucial that line of business it really is to that specific marketplace. And essentially providing granular insights, which can then become highly valuable and assist you with decision making. For our analysis, we've segmented the clothing category in some of the top marketplaces and looked into the weekly traffic in Q4 coming into January 2022, and saw that in the week prior to Black Friday has actually attracted more traffic than the week of Black Friday and Cyber Monday itself, connecting to what we saw in the index traffic analysis, where users conduct their research and filling up their carts in advance, especially for the shopping and for the fashion and apparel category. Moreover, we see that Christmas Eve and Boxing Day shopping is highlighted in red, showing even higher levels than Black Friday for some of the marketplaces, making it even more critical to provide additional propositions to shoppers moving ahead.
So what is interesting as well with Similarweb, for those who don't know us, you don't really have the opportunity to conduct the analysis on one country, which we pretty much talked about the UK so far. But these things that we're seeing, you know, like consumers being deal driven, looking for the best deals, going to marketplaces, being a bit more frivolous about like spending their money. We're seeing this across many regions, including Germany. So for example, we wanted to analyze, to identify what are the potential retailers that are growing in Germany? Why? Because if you're looking at the left-hand side of the screen, this chart, which is called the heat map, looking at bi-weekly traffic to different retail subcategories, you see that like between March, the first column, and the end of and September, pretty much everything is in red, meaning there's been a decrease in traffic year on year for a lot of these retail verticals. But why is it interesting? For example, let's take the e-com marketplace. You see that as of September, traffic is down 10%. However, if you want to, for example, find some new retail partners for your clients, maybe decide where, like these brands, where they could go. Well, what are the actors that are still seeing traction from the consumers? We conducted a year-on-year fast-growing German marketplace analysis to identify these fast-growing players that are actually having quite a lot of traffic. For instance, in Germany, you see that Etsy has a lot of traffic and is still seeing 26% year-on-year growth. But you have also these Asian retailers that are coming to still some market share from traditional incumbents, such as AliExpress. You have Frugo that is operating across the whole of Europe. So all these players are potential distributors as they're seeing high growth and a lot of traffic. So something always to consider, even if the sector is down, it doesn't mean that you cannot find growth opportunities externally than with your traditional distributors.
And so I guess if you want to kind of summarize what we just covered, we saw the marketplaces spread and operate in different timings and are taking over the e-commerce ecosystem, while also being able to analyze them on any category and brand level, and not just on a website as a whole. And now to kind of make a 180 degrees shift, here's a great example of a brand doing the opposite way and taking action into consolidating their business. And so, of course, talking about how Nike has cut ties with some of the largest shoe retailers and has been reducing the number of traditional retailers it sells to over the past few years. Instead, Nike has shifted sales to its own shops, websites, and mobile apps, along with select stores to take a more direct-to-consumer business approach. So using Similarweb's unique abilities, we can actually identify and track this behavior and how it impacts on the categories and consumers.
And indeed, so for example, thanks to this tool that is shopper intelligence, so like analyzing the whole of Amazon across different countries, we can really track actually the moment when Nike decided to leave Amazon and to steer away from the retailer. So I invite you to look at this trend that is showing units sold for 1P retailers, first-party retailer, which is Nike working directly with Amazon. These third-party retailers are like oversellers selling Nike's products on behalf of it without or with its consent. That depends. There's a lot of gray market, and it really enables you to track like actually the gray market. Why? If you're looking at the dark blue trend is the first-party sales of Nike. So like you can really see when they decided to leave the platform around the end of during 2020 with sales trends falling close to zero. But however, you can really see that there's still some 3P sellers selling Nike's products on behalf, and it actually has been increasing a bit over the last 12 months. So that's also something always to take in consideration, really be able to track this kind of behavior and from third-party sellers to really get the overall like market share, your overall share of voice in the market. There are great examples actually on how some brands are really leveraging the D2C business model in order to achieve growth. And for this, we choose to talk about the beauty examples. These brands are like not fairly niche anymore. They're actually like fairly well implanted in the UK, but also in the US and in France. So we took 4 brands as an example: Typology, the Inky List, Dermatica, and Skin & Me. Some of them are actually clients with us, and they really, as you can see here, achieving very high growth year on year, despite the current tense economical climate. So that's really, I don't know if you remember when we previously talked about the lipstick effects, consumers treating themselves to some like little affordable pleasures. This is exactly that. And we see that these brands, like they try to mostly work without retailers, without distributors. But why are they successful? Why are we seeing a 111%, 98% year-on-year growth? Because they really focus on enhancing customer experience. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see screenshots from the 4 different brands about how they're helping the clients at the point of sales online, personalizing their experience, like advising them, if they're in a shop with like a personal advisor, like helping them understanding what they need. So the D2C success can be achieved really through this focus on online experience, and this can help you even in uncertain times. So that's really some kind of advice I think will be interesting for you to talk about with your clients. But there are other ways actually to drive conversion at the point of sales, especially in these uncertain times. Buy now, pay later. I'm not going to give you a huge lesson on that because you pretty much, I think everybody knows what is it about now. I think it's been going on for quite a while. What is interesting is that overall in Europe, looking at this bi-weekly traffic trend for different payment services, you can really see that BNPL is really trending high with the cost of living crisis. Like, for instance, if you take the first line, which is PayPal, you see there is huge decline in traffic, so probably in conversion. Same with actually Adyen over the last month with Google Pay. Shopify is actually a bit on the rise. It's pretty much on the rise, but BNPL, so the second to last line, is as well like really still increasing year on year. So there's truly this demand for this kind of products for consumers because there are purchases they cannot put away and they need to keep making these purchases. So something that is really going to drive conversion this fall and this winter. And why? Like looking at app data, because we also offer app data, looking on the left-hand side at the monthly active users for Android, the buy now, pay later apps in the UK. So like the big ones, Klarna, ClearPay, Zilch, and Nearby, we're still seeing super high growth, like for example, up to 42% year on year in the last 12 months. So very important. And something as well to consider is like when these retailers, when a brand is offering buy now, pay later services, they should also try to target the older consumers, because looking at the app user age distribution for these apps, you can really see that usage is driven by the 35 to 44 years old in green. So it's not like a Gen Z showing their whole ASOS haul on TikTok or anything like that. It's pretty much people like older, like slightly older millennials who have more disposable income and more likely to make higher value purchases. So that's just something to keep in mind for this holiday season. And lastly, we've seen that a lot of merchants are actually installed BNPL softwares like in the 12 last month to December 2021. If we were to conduct this study now, I think there'll be a lot more. But like as of a year ago, there were almost 35,000 merchants with BNPL technology in the UK, and I guess right now there will be even more. So that's just something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, so and BNPL is just one way for assisting consumers in really continuing and completing that purchase with a little more ease. And due to market situations that we're all aware of, we do see shoppers change their behavior and look for smarter ways to shop, look for better deals, look to do more with less, or even shop with ecological conscious. Which is exactly why with recession hitting and more users are looking for ways to save wherever possible. And one of the main components of smart consumerism is the attempt to find the best deals, usually bringing shoppers to visit coupons and rebates websites, provided with the opportunity to get savings that can accumulate to substantial amounts. And here on our slide, we can actually see the the percentage that the remaining websites not in the top 10 are holding out of the entire traffic share. And we see that since October 2019, when that share was only around 17%, it has since nearly doubled to around 30%, meaning there are more and more players and websites around the coupon and rebate industry that are entering the market and trying to win over users and shoppers traffic.
Something as well around the consumerism done smarter. I know like some of you not be working in a sustainable field, but something to keep in mind is that there is also this second hand that is like second hand is becoming big, like very big among consumers across the whole of Europe. Here we choose to focus on the clothing industry, but I can quite many examples from the consumer electronics and so on industries. And what we see here, like this is for the UK, but I could get pretty much the same numbers for almost every single country. Looking at the left-hand side of the screen, we see that these second-hand clothing marketplaces have spiked on both sides of the spectrum. So first on the left, you're looking at the Depop and Vinted total Android app sessions from July 2021 to September 2022. And what you're seeing is like overall, there's been a growth of the total session. So obviously, Depop has kind of flattened, and Vinted is really increasing and probably stealing market share actually from Depop. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you see that this second-hand trends is also taking up on the more luxury side. So Vestiaire Collective, which is a luxury resale, right? You can sell and buy Chanel bags, Dior bags, etc. Traffic trend over time since September 2019 to September 2022 has pretty much spiked. Even I mean, there's been a bit of slowdown since February 2022, but it's still fairly high compared to 3 years ago. So there's really this kind of potential threats to some of your client businesses, if they're not also taking this into consideration, and even they're not embedding secondhand into their business model at some parts. And lastly, I think next slide. That's yeah.
Yeah, so just after really talking about how consumerism can be done smarter, now we can also talk about how it can be done easier. And to name maybe one more significant addition to shoppers' experience would be the entry of chatbots to many of our shopping processes. And so as they take over one market at a time, one category at a time, chatbots offer huge upgrades to our experience. For example, chatbots and virtual assistants are cost-effective. They help reduce customer service costs by automating customer service interactions. They can handle customer service queries quickly and efficiently. They are available 24/7, so online chatbots and virtual assistants can provide customer service around the clock, which can definitely be a major benefit for businesses that operate in multiple time zones to all offer customer support 24/7. They can help boost sales and conversions. They can improve customer satisfaction, which is critical. AI chatbots and virtual assistants can definitely help improve customer experience and satisfaction by providing immediate response to questions or concerns. And last but not least, they can help improve employee productivity and time management. So it is not surprising that many brands and retailers pay a visit to websites or companies specialized in chatbots around the e-commerce and retail industry. We've tracked and indexed the traffic to these websites to really see the exponential growth they've shown starting January 2021 as brands attempt to equip themselves with the latest technology for a more frictionless experience on their digital assets and come better prepared, especially for this shopping holiday. And so we've covered a lot today, from 30,000 feet to a view of granular shopping data and consumer behavior. So here are just a few main points we'd like you to live with. So expect to see uplift start earlier this year with brands across categories battle to get shoppers inbound throughout November. Identify the marketplaces best suiting for your brand based off their share and performance, and of course, the audience profile visiting those marketplaces. Find the right tactic to boost your direct-to-consumer capabilities by identifying consumer behavior signals, using several areas in the platform like audience data and shopper behavior. You can definitely do that and really understand how D2C can best serve your brand. And of course, offer consumers with more options to shop and pay from while minimizing frictions to improve their shopping experience.
Thanks a lot, everyone. So we're available to answer any questions you have. Don't hesitate to type them in the Q&A, and also obviously before we wrap up, and don't hesitate as well to ask us any additional questions. Reach out to us on LinkedIn as well. I think we're seeing a few questions. Someone asked if Similarweb can provide extra insights regarding unique user measurements or have estimates for the website. Do you want to go live? Amit, I see that you're going to answer this live.
Oh, sorry. No, my bad. I was just making sure.
Do you want to go?
I don't know. No, go ahead.
Yeah, so indeed, so we don't only provide total traffic for websites, for a domain, for example, Amazon in this case, or John Lewis in the UK, etc. We also provide additional metrics. So unique visitors is one of them. We do as well provide metrics on consumer behavior. So like returning, how many times on average consumers return to your website, and you can benchmark it against your competitors. So really quite a lot of metrics that can really help you identify the engagements on your domains vs the industry average vs your main nemesis.
All right, everyone, feel free to ask us any questions in the chat. We see, is there any chance to identify local traffic on the international websites .com? Yeah, definitely. For example, in the US, we do offer data on the states level as granular as that. So you can definitely track and identify trends coming in from different states, such as keywords, such as consumer behavior, and really able to profile and make those right adjustments based on their geolocation.
And additionally, I will say, for example, if you have a .com, for example, like take Nike. Nike is a .com domain pretty much everywhere. So you'll be able to look at the share of countries per like the country shares, the geographical shares of traffic per Nike for the Nike domain, for example, and identify which countries has the biggest share, like probably the US, but then like the following countries, and sometimes you may see interesting surprises as well.
Yeah, actually, following up on Nike, there is the capability in the platform called company analysis, where you can actually take all the different domains for a brand such as Nike, Adidas, or any other brand that has other domains than .com, and really aggregate them together and see the additional contribution for every domain to the overall traffic that that brand is really getting globally. See?
Yes. Are you able to cover information for a specific product or category on the retailer websites? So we have two different, actually we can, and I'm actually going to explain to you quickly how. They have two different options. So first, we have this product shopper intelligence that I mentioned, where we are scouting the whole of Amazon in different countries, so US, UK, Italy, France, Germany, and Canada as well. And we also have like additional retailers in the US, so Walmart, Target, Best Buy, and Cherry, where the product module is coming soon, but we already have all categories level information available. So for Amazon domains, you'll be able to track actually like a specific product. Additionally, on the pro side, so like looking at traffic data, you'll be able to create segments within retailer where you can track based on the URL of the retailer, a specific category, specific product line, and maybe just even a single product if you want to have extra information about that.
We see an interesting question. Tells me, when is the better period to start ads with Black Friday offerings? No, this is a question I know a lot of advertisers ask around almost every category in every industry. And the answer is sometimes it really depends. It depends on how long the research is being conducted for that category, for that type of product. As we saw around the industry analysis, we do see the uplifts coming in a few weeks prior to Black Friday. So there is a lot of traction and a lot of traffic coming into those websites with propositions or with the intent of users and the intent of shoppers to start doing their research. So of course, using that opportunity to really create those audiences for retargeting purposes, there really is good timing for creating traffic-based campaigns and really get that that footwork to make sure that you have the audiences coming into your website prior to Black Friday, prior to Cyber Monday, to make sure that they already are aware of your website, that you already have the ability to target them with the right proposition when the time comes.
Indeed. And sorry, just I wanted to bounce back onto Martin's question because I think I didn't mention thoroughly enough. We do, in addition to, he asked, sorry for the audience, I'm gonna read the question. So we would like to compare a few advertisers' traffic, and some of them do not have local websites, including visit session duration, bounce rate, etc. Therefore, calculating traffic share will not help. Any advice? So as I mentioned, for example, for an international domain, I took Nike, but let's take any other one. You'll be able to see more than traffic share. You'll be able to see engagement metrics per country, which is very interesting. You'll be able to see bounce rate, average page per visit, and average visit durations across all different countries. So that's something really that you can track. So I hope that answers well your question. For Jessica, there is a question: do any of the UK and EMEA trends presented today mimic US trends for marketplaces, BNPL, etc.? I'm going to start on the BNPL, and you can take the marketplaces, Amit. On the BNPL, actually, we're seeing slightly stronger increase year on year in UK than in the US. I just have the traffic heat maps. Please, Jessica, feel free to reach out to me. I can share you some US data as well after. There is slightly less growth year on year, but yeah, it's pretty much like similar trends. I will say for BNPL. Amit, do you want to add something for marketplaces?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the headlines that we covered around Macy's, Kroger, Walmart. So a lot of those brands and retailers are now really starting to create those platforms as marketplaces to really engage with users on more digital entities to make sure that they have those offerings. So it's not just around the UK. Definitely a lot of brands around fashion and around electronics are really engaging and creating those platforms. So we are bound to see a lot of marketplaces popping up in the near future to really provide that one-stop shop for shoppers, to make sure that they're not going to lose any traffic to any of the competitors based on supplementary products.
Amazing. I guess if there are not any additional questions, unless I give you 20 seconds to type it down, I guess we will wrap up this session. Don't hesitate to manifest yourself now, or otherwise, feel free to reach out to us for any additional questions. Like, I mentioned a few reports that we could be sharing with you with pleasure. Don't hesitate to add Amit or I on LinkedIn as well. And thanks a lot for attending today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And happy holidays. We do wish that all of your brands and clients make the most out of this period and time of the year. And definitely just echoing what Ines has mentioned, feel free to reach out to us for any query, any discussion around these topics or others. We're definitely available for you.